Good day. Thank you for joining us for today's news. If you find this helpful, please consider subscribing. We're here every day with calm, clear updates just for you.
Auckland is in the grip of a homelessness crisis, with numbers of people sleeping rough rising sharply. The City Council has sounded the alarm, pointing to a 90% increase in rough sleepers. Since September, councillors are demanding a rethink of current policies, which they say are failing Volsoning, but 809 individual. The committee has urged the government to use data from on-the-ground agencies to inform its response. Helen Robinson, from the Auckland City Mission, highlights the disproportionate impact on women, with 46% of homeless women in the country living in Auckland. There's a growing call for compassion and a more effective system that provides not just housing. A recent report shows that 14% of those leaving emergency housing may still be homeless, proving that current solutions are not enough. As the crisis deepens, the Council is pushing for a new approach, one that truly addresses the root causes of homelessness and offers real hope for those in need.
A seasoned forestry worker lost 4 fingers in a tragic workplace accident, leading to a court ruling that holds Kohurau Contracting accountable for its failure to ensure worker safety. The company was fined $70,000 in order to pay $50,000 in reparation. The court also
Aimee-Rose Yates, a beloved Auckland primary school teacher and passionate bowel cancer advocate, has passed away at the age of 32 after a 3-year battle with the disease, diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic bowel cancer in 2022. She became a powerful voice for early detection and awareness. Yates was remembered by her school for her kindness, dedication, and the special connection she formed with students and staff. Her brother described her as a rare soul with an infectious zest for life, and her impact on her nephew and countless children was profound. Yates had previously challenged Pulford D. Her death is a tragic reminder of the urgent need for better cancer detection and care, especially for Maori and Pacific communities who are at higher risk. Aimee-Rose's legacy lives on through the lives she touched and the ongoing fight for health equity in New Zealand.
in a big move for New Zealand netball. The 2026 ANZ Premiership will be broadcast exclusively ANZ Premier, deceived from its longtime partner Sky Sport. This deal with TVNZ could boost the sport's reach, connecting fans with their K cuts due to financial uncertainties. TVNZ is excited about the partnership, calling netball one of the country's most popular sports. The new season will feature exciting rule changes and a 12-week competition with 30 matches and 2 finals. While the financial terms are not disclosed, the hope is that free-to-air will attract more sponsors.
In a court in Greymouth, New Zealand, former members of the Gloria Valley Christian community are sharing their traumatic experience of abuse by their former spiritual leader, Howard Temple. The trial has revealed a deeply disturbing pattern of behavior that spanned decades. 4 women have come forward describing how they were touched inappropriately. Temple, who has pleaded not guilty to 24 charges of sexual assault, has faced intense scrutiny as the women recount their stories. They describe a culture of fear and silence, where speaking out was seen as a threat to the community's leadership. One woman shared how she was groped while carrying heavy jugs of cider. Another described being forced to lie about being loved by someone just to avoid confrontation. The testimonies paint a picture of a religious community where power was absolute, and victims were left with no recourse. The trial has exposed the oppressive structures that allowed abuse to continue for so long.
A 37-year-old videographer named Daniel Enganiko has died after being assaulted outside a rugby club in New Plymouth. The attack happened on Gladstone Road last Saturday night, and he later succumbed to his injuries, with the Tukapa Rugby Club describing him as a passionate sabo. Tributes have poured in from rugby organizations who have called for justice and condemned the violence. A 22-year-old man has been charged with common assault and is set to appear in court in August. Police are continuing their investigation and have not ruled out further charges in the media industry, having worked for severity His death has sparked a wider conversation about the need for stronger measures against violence in communities and sports, with many calling for justice and a safer environment for all.
In a harrowing case that has shocked the community, a repeat sex offender named Michael Brendan Buck has been sentenced to home detention for child abuse. Buck, now 65, had previously been jailed in 1991 for indecent acts on a child under the age of 12. The court heard that Buck committed similar offenses against a 4-year-old girl a decade later. The victim, who was under Buck's care, described the emotional pain of coming forward to her family about the abuse. Despite Buck's claims of remorse, the judge did not accept them and emphasized that the harm caused would stay with the victim for a long time. Buck was sentenced to 10 months and 2 weeks of home detention and placed on the child sex offender rager. This case highlights the ongoing risk posed by repeat sex offenders and the importance of protecting vulnerable individuals from further harm.
In New Zealand, a bold proposal to change the electoral law has ignited a fiery debate. The government wants to move the voter registration deadline 13 days side, but critics, including some from within the government, say this move could silence the voices of young people. Mori Pacifica, Justice Minister Paul Goldsmith, argues the change ensures a swift outcome. But experts like Graham Edgeler say the government already has solutions. Like Automate isn't just about timing, it's about who gets to shape the country's future. Some leaders, like Winston Peters of New Zealand, first prefer to wait for the Fighters. As the discussion continues, the question remains, is the promise of a faster result worth the risk of leaving voters behind?
A pharmacist with over 30 years of experience is sounding the alarm about the immense pressure on the pharmaceutical sector in New Zealand. She warns that more terrible incidents are likely unless the government acts to address the workforce crisis. This comes after the tragic death of 12-month-old Bellamere Arwen Duncan, who allegedly frass. The coroner's preliminary report suggests she died from phosphate toxicity, raising serious concerns about medication safety and oversight. The Ministry of Health and Health New Zealand have launched an urgent joint review, and MedSafe is visiting Pharmating Sophie the investigation, calling the incident an awful error. Pharmacists like Annabelle Turley are calling for a law change that would require 2 people to check medication before it is dispensed, a practice already standard in neonatal units. Former pharmacist Anne Simon, who left the profession in 2024, said the pressure on the industry was one of the main reasons he left. He described the workforce shortage as a recipe for disaster, with pharmacists working under extreme stress without the necessary support. As the sector grapples with this crisis calls for systemic change, and the tragic death of Bellamere Arwen Duncan has become a rallying point for those demanding safer medication practice status.
In New Zealand, more than 36,000 nurses, midwives, and healthcare assistants are preparing to strike for 24 hours. This is not just about pay, but a call for safe staffing levels in an overburdened healthcare, so left in unsanitary conditions for hours. Tracy Chisholm, a nurse at Waikato Hospital, says the situation is dire with more than 20 full-time positions unfilled. Patients are waiting for hours in the waiting room, sometimes even overnight. She says the strike is about the future of the healthcare system, the one her parents and children rely on. Health NZ has offered a 2% pay increase this year, but nurses argue that the offer doesn't address the real issue, underfunding and unsafe staffing levels. Data shows that 50% of day shifts across 16 districts were understaffed last year. Nurses are demanding fair pay, but more importantly, they want the government to commit, but more something. The strike highlights a growing crisis in the healthcare system, with nurses feeling ignored and undersupported. Meanwhile, future nurses like Bianca Grimmer are worried about job prospects, with fewer than half of mid-year graduates offered hospital jobs. As the strike begins, the call is clear. The system needs.
That's all for today's news. We appreciate your time. If you enjoyed this update, please consider subscribing. Your support helps us keep going.